Hey everyone, welcome back to Empire Builder Academy. I'm Fabian, and today we're having a look at the Age of Empires mobile, and we're just going to start jumping into the attacking side of things. I've still got a few more buildings to finish off for the buildings guides on Age of Empires, but I thought I'd just do a very quick beginner's guide to attacking, which I'm going to do a series of videos on. Then hopefully this video will reveal some of the secrets to consistently outsmarting your opponents. We're going to jump into the early stages of attacking and what it's all about. So we're going to jump over to the game right now. So the first thing we want to obviously do is understand the combat basics and the troop types and counters. So we've obviously got our 4 different ones over here. So let's go and have a look at them. So you can see we've got the archery range, we've got the pikeman barracks, we've got the swordsman barracks, and we've got the stable. So let's talk about the swordsman first, which is this one here. So let's click inside the swordsman barracks and click on train so that we can see what we've got in front of us. Now, the swordsman, their key stats is high defense, medium attack, and what they're strong against is the pikeman. So it's remembering what they are strong against, and they are weak against archers. So you would need to take that into consideration when attacking and the archer count of the opponents that you're fighting for. And what is it best for? It's best for frontline defense and holding lines in rallies. So again, if we want to go into here and we want to see exactly what we are good at and what we're bad against, then all we need to do is click on this icon here, and it will always be your go-to for remembering what they are good against and what they're bad against. So you can see in this description, these razor sharp swords cut through steel like a knife through butter, greatly increases swordsman's damage against pikemen. So if you do forget what the different counters are, that's your go-to place. Let's come back out of this. Let's have a look at another one. And this time we're going to actually have a look at the pikemen, which the swordsmen were good against, which is this building right here. Again, we will click into it and we will go into the train side of things. And the pikemen, their key stats is balanced attack, defense, and high HP. What are they strong against? They're strong against the cavalry. What are they weak against? They are weak against swordsmen, which we just looked at. So that's what you need to remember when attacking and when defending, is that the pikemen are going to be good against the mounted, against the cavalry, but they are going to be weak against the swordsmen, which we just looked at. And what are they best for? Anti-cavalry counters and balanced PvP marches. So just remembering that. Let's come back out of there and have a look at another one, and this time we are going to jump into the cavalry, which is the one that we just talked about, which is the stable on here. That's this building. And when jumping into there and going through into train, we can see the different stats there. And again, if you do forget what they're good against and what they're bad against, we can always click on this icon here to give us a quick reminder. So it says here, charge now to catch the enemy off guard. Greatly increases cavalry's damage against archers. And that is exactly what they are. Their key stats is high attack, fast speed, strong against the archers, weak against the pikemen, which we just looked at, best for flanking, quick strikes, and barbarian hunts. So again, it's remembering those different things. Now, the last one that we're going to look at, and I'm sure you're already aware, is the archers. And the archery range is where we're going to go into, which is this building right here. We're going to click into there, click into train. And again, if we click on this icon here, you can see that these arrows are strong enough to pierce clouds and break rocks. They greatly increase archers' damage against swordsmen. So that's what you need to be aware of. But of course, they are poor against cavalry. And the key stats for the archers is they are the highest attack, and in terms of what they're best for, it's siege damage and softening targets from afar. So it's just thinking of those different things when going into the attack. So trying to understand and remember what they're good against and what they're bad against is going to be your first point that you need to know in terms of the attack. And one of the things that I would say is training T4 plus troops for events, but starting off with T1, T3 for early farming, and then researching the deployable troops in the university to boost your march size and aiming for 5 marches by town centre level 17, which is very easily achievable. Yes, it is a lot of grinding. Yes, you will need to remember to be putting on your research all the time, which is something that I've done. And I'm just going to jump back into the game and show you what I mean by that. So when I go into research, you will always see something on my game being researched. So you can see here there's 3 days to go on this particular one that I've got. And when I go inside there and check this out, you can see that I'm building my way across to all the different T5s. It is quite expensive. I spent probably £20, £30 on this particular game, and it's only got me to those T5 veteran swordsman and veteran pikeman. I am now getting ready to train the T5 veteran cavalry, and then I'll finish off with the archers. But in all honesty, I think that's probably as far as I'm going to go in terms of what I'm training, because if we go along, I don't know if it's going to show me actually. So what I can see, I can't see in terms of how long it takes, but what I can see is how much it's going to cost. And you can see there on the T6 senior swordsman, it's 22 million wood, 19 million food, 24 million stone, and 24 million gold. So you can appreciate just how long they will take. And just to give you an idea as to how long this will take, if I speed this one up now, and I'm going to do quick use, and then I jump into the next one across here, which is the veteran cavalry, you can see straight away 14 days just to train the T5. And again, even from a resource perspective, it's quite expensive as well. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and click on that and start that 14-day countdown. And you can see I get an offer of a pack, which I'm not going to go and take. I'm trying to keep everything down in cost, and that's what I'm trying to do with Empire Build Academy, so I'm not going to do that. That is what is important, is making sure that you are building yourself along, especially once you're further into the game, like I am, is making sure that your research is always going on and there is always something happening. And so now I will leave that and forget about that. And it'll probably be quite a while actually before I do go and complete the rest of that. And you can see that it's already down to 12 days due to the alliance helps that I'm getting. So again, that is also important, and being involved with an alliance that's active so that it brings that down as much as possible. Again, 15 out of 17 helps have now come in and reduced that 14 days down to 11 days and 18 hours. So make sure you are always researching and heading towards those T4, T5, depending on your level and where you can aim. Higher tiers, to continue with the talk on the troops, that it is worth mentioning that high tiers up to T7 unlock special abilities, but the chances of you getting there without spending quite a lot of money, I'm sure you are already aware from what I've just shown you, is not going to be easy. The next thing that we want to talk about is the heroes and pairings and gear. Heroes lead your troops and amplify damage via skills, talents and pairings. Each has a primary stat: might for physical attack, armor for defense, strategy for skills, and siege for structures, and a military speciality: martial for speed, warrior for damage, tactician for support. Now the idea here is to match 3 heroes of the same type speciality, which will give you between a 15 and a 30% attribute bonus. So when thinking about matchups and the best things that we can do, we will start off with the archers. So let me just go across to that now. Now when it comes to pairing your troops, you're normally forced into some kind of troop setup, which is what has happened to me here. Of course, I've got King Derek, who is 5-star. I've got him to the maximum, and Hugh, Milan and Josephine come with that extra buff, which you can see from down here with the troop bonuses down at the bottom. So when it comes to pairing these up, as we mentioned earlier, keeping these together and getting that buff that we talked about, which you can see here is 180%, is ideally what you want to do. Normally you are sort of sent into a pattern as to the troops you can use based on what is thrown at you. So again, with this one, you can see that we've got King Derek in there. I've got Hua Milan, which I got early game, and then I've got Josephine. There would be no one that I have enough of to sort of change that lineup. And again, if we have a look at the pikemen, you can see Joan of Arc, Darius the Great, and Frederick Barbarossa are what I've been forced to take. So again, at the beginning, this is kind of what you're going to have to do in terms of your lineup, is going with what you have the best available to you. So on the pikemen, I have that. On the archers, this is my current lineup: Hugh and Milan, King Derek and Josephine. If I go into number 3, which is my cavalry, again, you can see not really doing too great on the cavalry. Haven't really got that many copies or fragments of the different generals. And when I go into number 4, it's again another cavalry backup, but again, another weak system. But what I am doing is utilizing those troop bonuses that we talked about that we can use for each of these. Again, when I go down to my last one, which are my swordsmen, you can see I've got Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Queen Dido, again coming with that troop bonus. So taking a look at your marches, pairing them up as best as you possibly can. And just to show you an example, if I was to go into one of my marches here and take out, let's say, King Derek, obviously I'm going to add him back because he's my biggest and strongest. But when I go into there and have a look at what other options are available, you can see from an archer perspective, he absolutely is the best option that I've got. And if I was to go and have a look at all the different ones, you can see I've not got many fragments at all for all of the different generals. So King Derek will go back in there. That again will now give me my 180% troop bonus. And again, that is the max that I'm going to get from a power perspective on this particular game. So that is for that. Let's come back off this. And the next thing that I'm going to talk about is the gear. And that's when you unlock the smithy at Town Centre 15, and as an example, archer sets for the plus attack. We can farm blueprints from events or VIP shop, and a tip for the free-to-play would be starting with the free heroes that I just showed you, like Josephine and Hua Milan. Like I say, I will go much deeper into this in the future videos. The other thing to be aware of when you are going to attack for the first time is making sure that you are scouting first and sending a single scout to check the enemy towers, hero levels, and troop compositions, and avoiding citadels with level 20 plus towers unless you are stronger than them. Counter picks always exploit weaknesses, for example cavalry versus archer heavy foes, and aim for 1.5 times power for these particular battles. So I'm going to leave it here for this particular video. I will go into much more detail in longer videos that will be coming up for Age of Empires. I've still got to do a little bit of research myself in making sure that I understand completely what and how things work, and once I've done that, I will go into a lot more detail in these particular videos. I will be doing a lot of research over the coming weeks for Age of Empires so that I've got all that information on, so do be ready for that. But like I say, just a little insight into attacking and the kind of things that we need to be aware of before going deeper. Do obviously get involved in the comments on the video, and you can be helping not only other people who are reading this, but you can even potentially be helping me in that research that I'll be looking to do. And I will see you in another Age of Empires video very soon. Thanks for watching.